Hello, I'm Rebecca and welcome to the Creabea Knitting podcast. Hello, welcome. My name is Rebecca. I'm a knitter and knitwear designer based in Edinburgh, and this is a vlog or a podcast all about knitting, what I'm currently knitting on, what I've been knitting on, and what I'd like to cast on in the not too distant future. I feel a bit frantic this morning. I just fit shelving into this wardrobe behind me, but it means that everything that was in that wardrobe pre-shelving is all here. So I've like wedged myself into a corner to film today, and I feel like there is stuff everywhere. But that is okay. I will get into the flow of it fairly quickly. I have a few things today. I have a new pattern release today, which is very exciting. I've got 3 works in progress. I actually have a 4th, but I have no idea where it is. So let's see if I can find that. And I have a little bit of yarn acquisitions, a little life update, all the usual. Fairly light, I think, on stuff today. We'll see. I feel like I've been relatively monogamous in what I've been working on over the last little while. Maybe not. Maybe when we get into it you'll see that's not the case, but let's see. Let's start first and foremost with a finished object, which is also a pattern release. Today is the release of the Cara Wrap. I'll put some pictures up as I'm talking. I am wearing my Cara Wrap, one of 2. So it is, I'm going to stand up and show you. It is a set-in sleeve wrap cardigan. It has little ties at the waist. There's a tie on the inside, on this side. Mine's bulging a little bit actually, I should have tied it better. It has I-cord edging. It has loads of options. So it's worked from the top down. You work the back panel and then you pick up here and you do this very interesting technique to like work the I-cord as you go. The sleeve has lots of shaping in it. There are options for a short sleeve, for a long sleeve. There are 2 bust shaping options. So it's written for a B cup. Mine has no bust shaping, it's written for a B cup. And then you can add 2 different, like some bust shaping and then more bust shaping. It has waist shaping. This version does have waist shaping, so it's very fitted, but you can leave the waist shaping off. And it has 2 lengths, a crop length and a regular length. I think that's everything. And then both of my samples in a 4-ply with a mohair. But you could use a DK weight yarn. I think somebody used sock yarn held double. Somebody used sparkle. Like there are loads of options in terms of fabric for this. It's a 20 stitch gauge, so a really easy gauge to get. And I'm hoping that by releasing this pattern now, people, if they want to knit it in time for like the fancy things that we go to in November and December, you might have time for that. So I don't know if you've got like a New Year's Eve party or an office Christmas party, this would make a very great, like a really good example for that. I'm just remember the camisole underneath. This sample, my red sample, let me get it here, right in front of me. This is my red sample. It is this one, sorry, my grey is knit in Drops Alpaca and Filcolana Tilia. It's lovely, it's very next to skin. It's a little bit slippery to knit with Alpaca. I find it much easier on my wooden needles and my metal needles, but it means that there's literally no irritation next to skin. This one, if I'm very hot, is a little bit irritating next to my skin. It is Sandnes Garn Tin Pure Gint and Sandnes Garn Mohair. Oh, it's literally been worn, so it's still there. So what can I show you about it? Well, this is the I-cord edging. There are actually 3 different, this is the front wrap, and there are 3 different rates of increasing here. So you start with 1 rate of increasing and then you increase more rapidly and then you increase even more rapidly. And if you want a bit more coverage, you want this wrap to come closer and not be quite as revealing. I don't mind. I'm not very busty, so I find that I can wear a relatively deep V and it doesn't, I'm not like flashing anyone. There's not a whole lot of cleavage there because there's not a whole lot of cleavage to be there. So I don't mind it being a bit more open. But the pattern does give a little bit of a guideline as to what you can do if you want a bit more coverage. You just really just starting those rapid increases a little bit earlier. This version is the crop version, so it just has a tiny little bit of ribbing. So I'm right in front of a window and it's really blowing out. And then it has these really nice I-cord ties. This has been, well, let's see, I knit the very first sample that I was intending to take to my mum's wedding in April. And I finished it before the trip that we went on in March. So I finished this in March and it is now November, so it's been a while. The very first sample fit really well, but it was bottom up. Well, it fit really well. There were a few things. The armhole was a bit too deep, which I didn't love, and the back flared out. So you'll see the back here is very, like, it fits very nicely. It's right like close to the skin. On my other sample, the back like flips out a little bit. So I changed that up. I then knit a second sample and the V was way too deep, like it was at my navel. So that was scrapped. So this is my third sample, this is my fourth sample. So this pattern had a lot of reworking, but I am so pleased with the result of it. It is by far my most elegant of patterns, and definitely also my most fit considerate of patterns. I have quite a lot which are, it's not to say that I don't consider fitting other ones, but if you're wearing a sweater with drop shoulder and 10 centimeters of ease, like there's not so much you can do with shaping because it's really just going over the top of things. But with this one, there's a lot of shaping in this sleeve cap to make sure it fits properly. There's even a little, so you pick up your stitches here and then you work this little wedge of shaping. You can't really see from the picture I think, but you work a little wedge of shaping here so that you have the fabric to allow this to sit at the angle of your neck. So it's very, like, there are a lot of very little details of that which I think have meant it's a very well fitting pattern. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm mostly excited because what often happens is I finish a pattern and then I don't wear it. I wear it non-stop for like 2 weeks. And then I put it away and I don't touch it again until after the pattern pictures have been taken because I'm worried that I'll ruin the pictures. I'll ruin the pattern before the pictures come. So I've barely worn these. So I'm very excited because now we're releasing the pattern. I can finally wear both of these. It's quite cool. The ties, you can choose which way to wrap it. And you just do an I-cord tie inside. So you could change this, you could do a ribbon inside, you could do a button if you wanted, but I've just gone for I-cords because they're super easy. And on this version, which I'm going to do with this, so this one, I have not put any elastic in this neckline and I'm just leaving it. And so you can see I've got like a little camisole underneath and it's absolutely fine. My red one I can wear without a camisole, and that is because I put a tiny little bit of shirring elastic, which is like very, very stretchy elastic, all along the inside of this neckline. And I used a red elastic, so you cannot, like, I tried to find it the other day, I mean it's blowing out, but there's elastic all along this edge and you would never know. And that just means that there's a bit of stretch there, and it means that it's like really it all in onto your body. I used to sew a lot before I was a knitter. I was a sewist, and the thing that I spent by far the most time sewing were wrap dresses, and it meant that I put a lot of time and thought into how to get a wrap that fitted properly, how to stop any gaping at the front neck, how to get the coverage I wanted, where I wanted the straps to go. I knew from the very beginning that I didn't want like a hole in the side to pull it through. I wanted it to be like a fixed tie, and so this feels like the pattern where I brought the most of my sewing experience into it, which is quite fun. So yeah, the Cara Wrap is available. There's a discount code. It will probably be Cara15. I've not set it up yet. I need to set it up after I filmed this. So there'll be 15% off all weekend, and I'm really excited. It's been a really, really fun pattern. It's been a really great tester group, and I'm excited. It's one of my patterns now where I'm starting to have this longer test window, and it does mean that you, whilst it's definitely better for testers to have longer times, it does mean that as the designer I lose a little bit of steam because my samples are done and I'm just waiting for the test to happen. So it's nice to be sort of getting excited again for this pattern coming out, and then yeah, being able to wear it. I do, oh, someone setting an alarm off outside. I do want to go back and lengthen this grey version I'm wearing. So we had the pictures last Sunday and I was a little bit short for time, so I shortened it a little bit so I had something to wear for the pictures. But I do want it to have, this is the one that's meant to be the longer length, and for me they're both cropped because I didn't knit this one to full length of the body before I started the ribbing, and I would like to go back and alter that. So I've got plenty of yarn, and I will have to remove my tip ties, so like the ones at the ends of this wing, I'll have to take these off. Actually maybe not. Probably yes, probably want to rework them. But otherwise, like, everything else will be fine, and I'll just rework another maybe 5 centimeters of the body before I do the ribbing. Although I don't want to do the long ribbing again because it took me forever. I hate ribbing. So yeah, that's the Cara Wrap. I feel like people were very excited about it for a while, so I hope that the excitement has stuck around through the test knit. And yeah, it's a very, there's a video for the pickups here at the back neck, because you work an I-cord and then you sort of work an I-cord along the back neck, like an applied I-cord, and then you work it into here, and both the shoulders have got a video for each of them to support with that part, and that made a big difference for the test knit. And otherwise it's very it's relatively straightforward. It's just stockinette. There's some short rows, just like regular German short rows at the shoulder and at the sleeve cap. There's some I-cords. Nothing crazy challenging. But I think a really nice way of using relatively straightforward skills to have something that's really quite striking at the end. And I think it's the sort of thing, like, I know some people knit because they won't think to wear things they can't get in shops, but it does feel to me like something that is very, like, ready to wear, which is exciting. I do still think I might need a black sparkly one. Yenny, who is Finglish Knits, who's done so many of my pattern pictures, she made a black sparkly one for her sample, and I do with the short sleeves, and I think it's really, really nice. And I do wonder, I'm not really going anywhere for Christmas this year, so I don't really have a reason to wear one, and I have my red one, which feels festive, but it does make me want a black sparkly one. Although I also have a black sparkly toaster, so maybe I'll just wear that for Christmas instead. So yeah, that is my finished object. That is my Cara Wrap. Let me just chuck on my other red one just so you can see it, and then I'll get on with the rest of. And here we go. Here's my red one, and you can see it just has that fraction more coverage because pulling on a bit because my sleeves aren't quite straight. It's got a fraction, like the camisole's in the same place, but there's a bit more coverage because of that bit of elastic. So, yay! Okay, where are we at? I have 3 works in progress. I really thought that this bag in front of me had the 4th one, and it does not, so I really have no idea where I put the other one. And I need to work on it, so I should find it today. I'm going to show you how bad this is. This is the carnage. And it all has to go in that wardrobe behind me. Like, it all has to go back in there. I need to do it this weekend, because currently there's too much stuff. There's far too much stuff. Okay, I have 3 works in progress and a little bit of yarn. So let me show you works in progress, and then I'll show you something fun, and then I'll go into my yarn. So, okay, I have a bit of fail to talk about. So the next pattern coming after Cara is my stick season jacket. The stick season jacket is chunkier weight, sort of cardigan jacket version of my stick season sweater that came out last year, and it has lots and lots of options. A lot of options. It has 2 different lengths. It has a round neck, a v-neck, a shawl collar, pockets, folded cuffs, all over texture, half texture, no texture. Lots and lots and lots of options. And because there are lots of options, I kind of feel like I have to have quite a lot of samples to show off all the options. So my all over texture version is done. I have a no texture version, but I've been wearing it a lot and I was a bit worried it might be a bit too scruffy for the pictures. So I'm still not decided yet. I will probably take it to the pictures and have a few pictures taken of it, but I didn't want to be reliant on it because I did feel like I might just need to reblock it and debobble it and it should be fine, but I do feel like it looks like it's been worn a lot. So I thought I'd remake another version of the no texture, and I thought I'd do a v-neck version because I have a shawl collar one, but otherwise nothing is v-neck. And it's not a huge failure other than the fact that I thought the best time to knit the second sleeve, or the first sleeve, would be whilst watching the election coverage on Tuesday. And let me just tell you that was a terrible idea because my sleeve is far too tight because it was so stressful that my gauge is way off. Like the sleeve fits tighter than this sleeve, and this is a fitted sleeve. So, it's such a glorious colour. This is good because it's motivating me. These are the colours that I suit, like this very bright, this very like saturated colour, and I need to remind myself of this, and this video is reminding me of it. This colour is going to be glorious. So it is a v-neck version. I blocked it because I wanted to check that I really was off gauge with the sleeve, and I definitely am. So I have a sleeve. You can see that it's got all the versions have there we go. Oh, almost, there we go. The ribbing detail down the back of the arm and along the back neck, the back shoulder even. And I've not done the ribbing yet. I feel like that's why it's not looking very put together right now, because it doesn't have any ribbing on it. So I think my next point of call will be to do the button bands. And this is the sleeve. It's just too tight. It's tight and short, and it's way too, it's just nothing. You can literally tell how much shorter it is than my regular sleeve. So I need to rework the sleeve. It even feels denser. It's so strange. So I had to rip this out, which, fair enough, it's kind of annoying, but it's annoying because it was like a whole day's worth of work, and I think I knew when I was knitting it, but I was like, no, like, don't be silly. I went up my purl gauge is quite loose, so I think I used a 4mm for 16 stitch gauge on the body, which tells you yeah, I'm a very loose knitter, which my mother thinks is hilarious when I say that. I'm a very loose knitter. Thought I'd unravel this while I'm talking to you, and it was a bad idea, because it's just catching on all the little bits. But so I used a 4mm for the body, and then I thought, well, and I was fine, I was on gauge, and I thought, well, I'll go up to a 4.5 to work the sleeves in the round, and that'll be fine. It was not fine. I should measure my gauge to see how far off I am, but I think I need to use at least a 5mm, and hopefully also just, you know, not be filled with existential doom and dread whilst knitting it about the world coming to an end, and hopefully that will make a difference. So yeah, I will unravel this. I think I will use the yarn for the sleeve on the body, the button bands, and I will then start again on the sleeves with a bigger needle. The thing I hate the most about sleeves is working short rows and sleeve caps. I don't know what it is about it, but I dread it. So I will 100% rip back to the sleeve cap, and then I will work the rest of it in the 5mm needle because I'm too lazy to do the whole thing again. The yarn I'm using for this is all downstairs because the project bag is downstairs, but I am using Woolyknit British wool in the colour I feel like it's named after a car. It's not called cobalt blue. It's called some Corvette. Is Corvette a car? I don't even know. I think it's called Corvette blue. It's lovely. It's really, really nice. And I'm holding it together with a strand of Filcolana Tilia in the colour blue. Cobalt blue, I think. I said this before. When I first started knitting, I knit with quite a lot of Woolyknit. It was very well priced, and then it kind of blew up a little bit, and I did a collaboration with them, the Cone Along, which I think is to this day is pretty much, other than my Exploring Knits work, pretty much the only collaboration I've done. So this yarn was not sent, like I'd paid for this yarn, but I have in the past received gifted yarn from this company, and I didn't go off them, but then they kind of did collaborations with every influencer under the planet, and I was kind of like, cool, like Woolyknit, what else is out there? So I went on this sort of pilgrimage around different yarns, and when I knew I wanted to knit this in blue, I thought, well actually I've got some stash for this, I should use what's in stash. So I used the Woolyknit British wool, and I was shocked by how much I enjoyed it. I remember one of my very first sweaters I ever knit, just so enjoying the flow of working with this yarn, and it's still that way. I still really, really enjoy it. So yeah, not any, it's not like this is not an ad. I worked with them twice and I've not really worked with them since. But it was nice to come back to a yarn which I did appreciate and really enjoy working with very early in my knitting journey, and come back to it now having worked with a lot more different yarns and be like, no, actually this is really great. So that was quite exciting. So yeah, I'm just frustrated, and I know that I could like finish this up pretty quickly. It's just I kind of had to put it in the naughty corner for a little while, because after knitting a full sleeve that didn't fit, I was frustrated to say the least. And that frustration led me instead to cast on a different sample of the same pattern. So the only thing I'm still missing then, I've got a ball of yarn in here because the dog got in and got it, and I had to stash it somewhere, and I put it in a project bag. So I now have then I have an all over texture version, which my mum is going to have, but I have it. I have a no texture version. Hopefully this will be ready for the pictures. I mean, the pictures are going to be the beginning of December, so I have plenty of time. And then maybe even also my round neck one. But what I'm missing is a half texture, half no texture. So the original 6 season pattern is only on the yoke. It's very like traditional menswear inspired, like proper like a Gansey style with like the faux seaming. That was the take on that one, and it's kind of along the same lines. But so far I have knit one with no texture and one with all the texture, and I needed one that was half and half. And the yarn I wanted was out of stock for a long time, but it came back in stock. I was originally going to use, I used Vams, Rauma Vams for my all over texture sample, and it was glorious. It was really lovely to knit with, and it's a really lovely finished object. So I knew I wanted to use Vams again, and when I was looking at what sort of colours I was missing, yeah, I'm even looking now at like my green section of my sweaters, and I was definitely missing a green cardigan. So I got some green yarn for it. It's blowing out still a little bit, but it is, the texture on this with the Vams is so lovely. It's really, really nice to knit with. It's relatively structured, and I feel like this version with, I'm gonna sneeze, as I was saying, I feel like the blue version This feels more like a cardigan. Like it feels quite cardigan-y, but this feels like a jacket. And it's because the yarn is so dense and spongy, it feels like an outerwear piece more than anything else. So I've done, this is going to be round neck, and I finished up the back. Sorry, the back is done, and then this is the front right. I'm going to look very Celtic, I think, with this, with my dark hair and this, and my very, very pale skin. I'm wearing bronzer and blusher right now. I'm just so pale. This is what it's like to live in Scotland. I think this is going to look really nice, and this one will get pockets as well. The sleeves will be plain, and I'm really, really, really enjoying this. I have a little bit of like a bit of castonitis, a little bit of like, I feel like I've had projects I've been working on for so long, I always want them done, like I'm just a bit over them, and I think I'm just a bit, it's been a tough week, right? Like I'm obviously not in the US, and the election, it's kind of stunned the world, even though it will not have any direct impact on my life. I found it a bit hard to get myself out of the blues for a couple of days this week, and a lot of the internet, like a lot of people that I follow online, a lot of the content I was seeing was about the election, and so it really like just made me a bit melancholy this week, and I think it's definitely reflected in my knitting. Like I'm feeling just a bit sad about some of my projects. Screw you, Donald Trump, for making me sad about my knitting. I'll get past it, it'll be fine. But yeah, I just want some like, I need something fresh. I ordered some yarn yesterday for a new project because I just was like, yeah, I just want something fresh and fun. And I'm going away next week on Friday, and I would really like to be a place where, I mean, my dream state is that all three of these are finished by then. That feels a bit excessive, but if I could have this blue finished and my next whip finished, and then I'm casting on 2 new projects, that would feel like a good place to be in. I think it's because as well at this point, everything, all the complicated parts are done, so the engaging parts are done. So I'm in a lot of like, not quite endless stockinette, but the equivalent of, and my brain wants to get stuck into something new, which it should do. I've got yarn coming for a new pattern, and I also have a pattern to write up, and those 2 things will actually fry my brain, definitely. But I don't know, I want something more engaging on my nails right now, and I'm not quite there, which is fine. So yes, one more slide to finish. Here's the state. Let's see if I could finish this side today. 2 days to finish the body finished by the end of the weekend, and then if I knit a sleeve a day next week, 1 sleeve Monday, 1 sleeve Tuesday, 1 sleeve Wednesday, 1 sleeve Thursday. Maybe I'll get there. Probably not. It's in this giant bag because purely it was the only bag I had. This is I have these 2, I've showed them a lot of times before. They're from Strikke Feber, which I think is in Norway. They don't actually have them in stock right now. Anyone who was looking at caps, I shared caps a while ago, they brought some new caps out, I noticed, so worth checking them out. I have to like Google translate their page into English, but I've ordered with them with no issue before. This bag is out of stock right now, but they are bringing more in. They're made of recycled saris. So this is the medium size, and this is the large size, and the large size is huge. But it's one of, actually I'm going to switch that project into here right now, because this does not need to be in such a big bag. Oh, my Cara Wrap was in here. I was thinking what had been in here before, but I found a little bit of yarn left over, so it must have been from my Cara. Right, the migration, there we go, and this is going to be, when I go away next week, this is what my projects are going to go into, I've decided. Okay, I have one last whip. I actually don't, I have 2 more whips, but I'm looking around and I don't know where I put it. I have a shawl. My staffing shawl, I put a picture of my staffing shawl. The staffing is a multi-mega pattern of a vest, cardigan and sweater. The vest and the cardigan and the sweater test are underway. This shawl is well underway, and the shawl comes out earlier. The shawl will come out I think 2 weeks today, and that's going to be my charity pattern of the year. So I kind of dropped the ball a little bit on the planning. I had a different plan for my charity pattern, but I hadn't gotten around to doing it. And then I thought the staffing got a very warm welcome. It has 3 sizes. One of the sizes would be great, especially the smallest would be great for gift knitting. It just takes up 1 skein of DK. And so I thought that'd be my charity pattern this year. So if you are new, I have done a charity pattern the past 2 years for the Fistula Foundation. I'll talk about it more next week or next episode when I share the pattern. It's an incredible organisation that does surgeries for women living with fistulas, usually through complications in childbirth, and generally in developing countries. And they score very well in their effectiveness ratings. So a very large portion of the money that's donated goes to the surgeries. There are other organisations where a smaller portion of the money given actually makes it to the end result, and this is one of the organisations that scores very well for that. So that's going to come out in 2 weeks and it'll be a charity pattern, and that's what I'm working on. I'm about halfway through the largest size, and I need to finish a large size and a small size. There's a medium one, but I will not finish a sample in time, and I just should do with finding that pattern because I've got no idea where it is. No, don't know. It's a pretty accurate representation of where my brain's at the moment. Okay, let's move on to my very last work in progress. I am so pleased with this. I am loving it. I want it to be finished just because I want to start wearing it, and I want to move on to the next version, and yeah, but I love it. I am struggling with the pattern name. So last year I released a mega pattern. I released a lauder which had vest, cardigan, sweater and cables, and I thought I would do the same this year with a cable knit pattern, and we've gone very, very classic cables with an emphasis on honeycomb cables. I used to hate honeycomb cables, and I really just think that my problem with them before was that I overly blocked my sweater, and they do not, they sh a lot, and what I tried to do was really block them flat, and in doing so I got a pattern that didn't fit me. But it's my own pattern this time, so it does fit. So this is the body is finished, it has not been blocked, the yoke has been blocked so I could assess my gauge. The rest has not been. This is the cardigan version. There will be a vest, and there will be, I think there'll be a button-up vest as well because I really want a button-up vest version, and there will be a sweater, and the sweater is going to be in cream and very, very classic. This is where we're at. Oh my goodness, it is so much fun. So it's a round neck pattern. It has it's kind of a lot of honeycombs framed by this like single braid, and then some regular moss stitch under the arms, and I just think it's so much fun and so much, there's a lot of cabling but I really like it. I use a new to me raglan method, which honestly right this second I'm forgetting how I did, and I've not written the pattern up yet, so I'm going to have to go back and work out how I did this raglan, but I really like it. It's kind of like a standout raglan. And there's the back. Oh, I think it looks so cool. You can literally see the line where it's been blocked up to and the line where it's not been blocked below, which I think is quite funny. And I love, it's going to take a while to, I'm using a DK and a mohair for this, and I'm pretty confident I could get gauge with just the DK, and I think for the sweater version I would just use DK, just so that it's not like super, super warm, and it's going to be very heavy. So I'm thinking if I can get this finished by when I leave next week, it will have like 4 days to block, and I think it's going to need 4 days to block, and I wouldn't be surprised if I come home at the end of 4 days and it's still not dry. So yeah, this is it. It has just been so, it's not really holding up very well, honestly. It's kind of, I feel like it's not quite, I've had to photograph it as well and I kind of struggle taking pictures of it. I am using, oh my phone is in here, interesting. I am using Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool in the colour Red Squirrel. Again, this window right in front of me is really blowing out all my colours. Yeah, it's definitely coming out a bit too bright. And knitting for Olive Mohair, the colourway Rust. So the Rust is a little bit richer, but I think it's giving a real like burnished look to the cables, which I really like. And I'm just undecided on the name for this pattern. I originally wanted to call it Henny, which is Scots for honey, and I thought that was quite nice given all the honeycomb. But I have a feeling that Henny, firstly, it wouldn't surprise me if it starts getting called like Heine or something. I don't like that. And I know that Henny with a Y at the end, H-I-N-N-I-E would be mine. H-I-N-N-Y is like a cross between a donkey and a horse. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's kind of word that has like negative or like questionable connotations in other languages. So I need to rethink my strategy on what to call it. And I don't know, I had a few options, but I'm still not, like usually I get to a name and I'm like, yep, that's the name, and I don't have that this time. So I need to go back to the drawing board a little bit and work out what I'm going to call this one. I'm so excited for the sweater. I'm going to be knitting on it over Christmas. The test call for this will come at the end of November, my next test call, and yeah, I need to get this into tech editing. I should probably be this week. Maybe over the weekend I'll get some time to write it up. If not, it'll be next week, and I'm very excited for the sweater version. It's going to be so classic and cozy and perfect. And I think the rest is going to be in red, and I think mine will be button up, but there will also be a round neck version. And the sweater will not have the there's a single cable running in the button band, and the sweater will not have that. It would just be all the honeycomb. I'm so excited. But again, I want it done. I want to wear it. I just want it to be finished and all the blocking mats. So yeah, and this may be it. Maybe I'm just on Sleeve Island. Maybe it's just all the sleeves. Maybe that's what's happening. Okay, I just have a little bit of acquisition and a life update to go, but before that, I do have something to share, which I talked about last week but then didn't action. I released some t-shirts, and I released them a week ago on a Wednesday, so they've been live since the start of the month basically, and they got a very warm response, and I'm very pleased with how it's going. And they're starting to arrive places. Right now the average fulfillment time is like 0.9 days, so I think they opened on Wednesday, and by Friday they were arriving places, and it was so exciting to see people wearing them, people doing like unboxings and getting tagged in videos of them. It's been so nice to see, but I've realised I've not shown them, I don't think, on the podcast. Maybe I have. And I will apologise now, because one of these two I took out of my laundry basket this morning because I worked at the gym yesterday. So I will show, part of me was like, I'll just show pictures. And I thought, well, I have them, I should get them. But yeah, apologies that one is crumpled and probably smells bad, which at least that part you won't have to experience. So there are two styles. There is, they're both made in Comfort Colours t-shirt, which is like a brand of t-shirt, which I wear a lot of, and I've worn for over a year now, and I really like how they fit. I love the wear. I mentioned before that I get I've had a few book t-shirts from a company called Book Babe Designs. They do like releases of t-shirts every, I don't know, 6 weeks or something, and I think I got 3 of their t-shirts total, and I reached out to them and asked where they got them printed, and they sent me this provider. So I was really confident, because I've had those t-shirts that I sometimes they'll get worn, like I go through phases where I wear them every single week and they get washed every single week and none of the print has ever come off of them. So I was pleased to get the same provider. I love the fit of them, I love the quality of them, and that provider's always done, like whenever I've ordered from them, it's gone very well. So I was very pleased to work with that provider again. They're unisex fit. I have had a couple of comments about like a v-neck version or like a ladies fit. So what I'll do is I'll see what else the provider has in the catalogue, and I will order myself a couple and I'll start wearing them, and then if I wear them for a good 3 or 4 months and I don't have any issues with them, I'll consider adding that product in the future. But yeah, there are 2 styles. One is grey, one is ivory, and let me show you. I literally have something on the collar of this one. Yeah, sorry, this is not. So this is the ivory version. The front is completely plain, and the back has support your local yarn store, meet me at the yarn shop, and it has, let's see, a cone of yarn, some balls of yarn. I really, really love the charts either side. There's a chart, a little knit purl chart, a little moss stitch chart, and the front is completely plain. So this is quite nice. Someone tagged me yesterday, they were at the climbing gym and they wore this to the climbing gym, and they were like telling everyone at the climbing gym that I'm a fibre artist. I thought that was really cool, just because it's on the back and not the front. And then definitely the more popular of the 2 designs, this is the one that I wore to the gym, so apologies in advance, is this one. Oh, he's called Yarn Buddy. I did a giveaway at the start of this week on Instagram to name this guy, and Hank was definitely the most popular name. But it says Yarn Club, and then it says meet me at the yarn store, established 2024. So they are really, really fun. I am so pleased with them. I think I now have, I've done a lot of test orders, so I think I now have 3 of each. So there are a lot of these in my life, but that's okay. I really like them. I have a friend who's not a knitter who I'm seeing next week who asked me to take him one, so that was exciting, and yeah, it's going pretty well. I'm pleased with them. I'm really pleased. It was a very stressful day. The day it launched, I was just absolutely like vibrating with anxiety all day, but it all went very well in the end. I'll put them on my website. They're available on my website. I have a website now. So they're available on the website, which is just thecreabeapodcast.com, and there'll be a link down below. It's quite, the way I've worked it all out ultimately is that there are all the possible, because I want to do global shipping, firstly the provider allows global shipping, and the shipping is relatively inexpensive. So for the UK and like the US, it's like £4. I think the most expensive shipping is £7, and that is to a lot, like the places that are usually like rest of the world. Usually it's like UK, Europe, rest of the world, and I think that might be £7 if you're going to like Australia or New Zealand. But other than that, maybe it's not even as much as that, maybe it's only £6. Yeah, other than that, the shipping is pretty inexpensive, and all of the sales costs, so anything like VAT or sales tax, is all absorbed into the price of the t-shirt. So the only thing you will pay is the £26 for the t-shirt and then your delivery on top of it, which is usually either £4 or £6, or I think it's maybe something that's even less than that. They're delivering really quickly. I think the delivery on it says it can be up to 7 days, but depending on where you are, it will come even faster. And what's really nice about this provider is that what happens is I take the orders and then I list the orders with this provider, and then they find the printer that's as close to you as possible. So my shirts in the UK get printed in the UK and sent to me. But if you're in the US, it will not get printed in the UK and sent to you, it will get printed in the US and sent to you from there. So it means that the shipping is way less expensive and it gets you way faster, which is really nice. I'm really pleased with the provider. I'm already thinking about doing this again in the future. I'm thinking maybe like 2 or 3 times a year having like a t-shirt, and yeah, I think that'd be quite fun. And I'm definitely happy to use this provider again. It's been really successful so far. I've had one order go missing and I reached straight out to them straight away and they just sent another one. So it's been a really good experience other than the first day of panic. So yeah, they're down below. They are only available until the end of November, so I won't be having these online. I kind of want to get the balance between, I don't want any scarcity panic. I don't want anyone to be like, oh no, I have to buy this right now or there won't be any left. Like, there is no cap on how many there are. But I don't want to just have them available all the time. I like the idea of doing little drops, doing little like cycles through them. I like the idea of having a bit more, like, I think the next one will be Valentine's, so I think it'll be nice to do a little Valentine's themed one. And also it is another sort of thing for me to have to be considering and keeping an eye on and processing every single day. So it's quite nice to be able to only have that as a requirement for say a month at a time, and then be able to stop doing that and move on and do something else for a little while and then bring them back another time, which is quite nice. So yeah, if you're interested, the link is down below. I've had a few people message me and say, hi, sorry about this, I'm not a knitter but my partner's a knitter, can you help me out with sizing, or like things like that, which I think is really nice. So if you are a knitter and you would like to send someone you don't want to get for Christmas, or if you've got a holiday coming up that you get gifts for, this could be the answer. Cool, those are the t-shirts. The link is down below. They'll be available until November 30th and then they will not be available anymore. Yeah. Okay, I have yarn to talk about and then life updates, and that is it. So I have quite a lot of yarn on order, but I actually only have one yarn here. And actually, let me grab something to go with it. Okay, so I got the itchy nose. Okay, so I have I really would like a very plain navy and grey jumper. Drop shoulder. I know exactly what I want in my head. And I knit a t-shirt last year called, I think I'm calling it the Bosta tee last year, and what I thought I could do is knit the jumper, the sweater, to, it's a 17 stitch gauge, the same gauge as a Toasta tee, but a drop shouldered version with all my favourite things about drop shoulder. And so I thought, in the way that I did the Toasta tee and then I added long sleeves, what I could do is, given that right now I'd like a plain stockinette grey sweater, I could knit it to the Bosta tee, means I get to like knit a second sample and the long sleeves, and then I can release it as a t-shirt with a long sleeve edition. So I ordered my favourite yarn. This is Cascade 220. I don't know if it's my all-time favourite, but if I had to pick 5, this would definitely be on the list. This is such a good yarn. I've used it for colourwork, I've used it for lace, I've used it for texture, I've used it for plain stockinette, I've held it with mohair. I've done all those things and it has always held up so well, and it's such a nice colour to knit with, and it is such a nice yarn to knit with, sorry, and it's so well priced. So it's a 200 meters per 100 grams gauge, so if you like things like wool of the Andes, pure Ghent, Peruvian Highland wool, like this is the same gauge as all of those things. and I just love it. And they have so many colours. I think it's the most designed. Let's see, Corin is in this, Sana is in this. I'm sure there's another thing. Well, I should just look at my shelf, shouldn't I? Something else in this, I'm sure. Leaf is in this as well. Love this yarn. Not in any way sponsored. Nothing that I'm showing today is sponsored. Everything has been paid for. Everything that's on its way to me has been paid for. I am buying a lot of yarn at the moment. So I'm using this dark grey. Now I think I can get stitch gauge without a mohair, but I do have an option, which is some Holst County Tikaka, which I have never knit with. I bought so long ago, and I bought this to go with a Holst cone, but I do not like knitting with Holst. I don't like it. I think it blooms lovely, and I think it's very nice once it's been washed and blocked. But the physical experience of knitting with it, it's too oily for me. It's too stringy. I just don't like knitting with it. I don't like how it runs through my fingers. So I've de-stashed all of my Holst cones, but I do still have a little bit of Tikaka left. So that's going to be the combination. And yeah, I'm going to knit what will be the Boss City, but as a sweatshirt. And I'm going to cast this on next week. I'm going to be taking 2 projects with me on our little trip away. And these are 2 of the projects. This one, and then I bought yarn to make a Kindra, which is my colourwork yoke sweater. I bought some more colours. I bought one to make a navy version. So I'm going to take both of those next week, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm just wanting to like clear my nails a bit before then, so that I can go ahead and do all those things. I also bought a load of buttons, because I have, as you can tell, a lot of cardigans on my needles right now. So I bought these, which are kind of like leather look woven buttons. But they're actually plastic. I thought this would be really nice on the cable knit cardigan. I got these, which I thought would go quite nicely on possibly the blue Dafties. Dafties? 6th season. And I've got these ones, which are a little bit shinier than I thought they'd be. They're kind of shiny on one side and they're kind of like flat on the back. That might be an alternative for the cable knit, or might be on one of the stick seasons. TBD, but I've shortened buttons and I thought I was going to order a stack whilst I'm placing this order with Wool Warehouse. So last but not least is life update. The main thing is that I shared on Instagram last week is that I have quit my full-time job. It's fairly recent. I really wasn't enjoying it. I was struggling with it quite a lot, and the day I handed my notice in, that was at 9 AM, and by 5 PM everyone except for 4 people at the company had been made redundant. So that's a bit of an indicator as to how the company was doing, and yeah, I was really not enjoying it. But we were moving into the house, we had to get our mortgage secured, all those things, so I was sort of sticking out for a little while. And the plan was very much going into another job. I was applying for other jobs, and I got to the final stage of a job I was very excited about. And it sort of coincided. I had my final interview on like the Thursday, and they told me they'd let me know at the start of the following week, and it was between me and one other candidate, and my interview went really well. And then I had some friends visiting who I've not seen in a little while, and they really like held a mirror up to me in a way that hasn't happened in a while, and I just thought it was so interesting. But they ultimately just said, like, are you excited about this job, or are you excited to have done well in the interview to be offered the job? And it was a bit shocking, but they were completely right. Like, it wasn't necessarily that I really wanted the job, it's that I really wanted to have done well and to be considered the best person for the role. And I was a product manager, I guess I still am a product manager, an out of work product manager, which is a role that people don't generally set out to become, but tend to fall into it based on their skills. And I just realised I need to do a bit of soul searching about whether or not it's a job that I really want to do, or if it's just a job that I'm good at, if that makes sense. So my original plan had been to take until the end of the year, so take like just under 3 months, so some of October, November and December, to work full-time designing and try and put some things in place so that it's a bit more manageable going back into full-time work. At this point I've decided to extend that by at least 3 months, so I'll probably not go back into a full-time job at least until March at the earliest. I'm not really sure about it because I kind of want to give myself some space to think it through and to work it out of my head of that, and I honestly still don't know the answer to that. Sam just started a new job a week ago today, so I knew that would be another bit of an adjustment to our schedule, the way he'd be working, how he'd be working. So we had in October some time off together. Then, well, I was working as a designer, but I wasn't. I had a very flexible schedule. And now he's going back to work. So I'm hoping that, and then December's going to come, and December's going to be all over the place. So I'm hoping that it means that I can spend January, February, March working out what they're going to be very boring months with not very much going on, and we'll hopefully be into a routine, and I can work out if working for myself is something that fulfills me, and if I can make it work for my schedule and for the way I want to do things. Something that I found very positive was that in this job where I got to the final stages, the thing that they cared the most about was the fact that I ran my own business. They were so impressed and engaged. I had so many questions about it, and I was interviewing with women, which I don't know if that played a role or not, but it was the first time I interviewed for a job where it became such a focal point of what they were interested in, and like such a selling point for me, that I think what I've realised is I could probably take up to 12 months and still go back into a job, and provided that I can show growth and consistency and achieving some goals, I can still, this a year away from it would still be an asset to me. So I'm just not really making decisions right now, if I'm honest. There are some bigger projects that I would like to do. I think what I've come to realise over even just the short amount of time I've been working for myself over the past couple of weeks has been that I really had no time for anything other than working and knitting and like basically maintaining the house. And it's challenging when knitting is a hobby that I have turned into a job where I so enjoy it, but I don't have time to do any other hobbies. So my only things I was really enjoying knitting, but I would knit and read or knit and watch TV because those are the only things that are compatible with knitting. I've not been sewing for like months. I stopped going to the gym because I ran out of time to go to the gym, and I would move further away from the gym. It takes longer to get there. And so it'll be nice to see if I can find some more balance and find some time to do things for me. I'm already back to the gym. I went back to the gym last week for the first time. I've been 3 times since. I'm feeling so much better for it already. And yeah, so far I'm enjoying this. So we'll see where it goes. I'll see where the pieces fall, see if it's something that I want to keep doing. But for right now, I feel like I get a few comments every little while, but I can't believe you do all of this in a full-time job. And it just feels like I should be transparent that right now and for the next little bit of future, I will not be doing all this in a full-time job. I'll be doing this as my full-time job. It does mean some fun things. I think I'm going to do Vlogmas this year, which will be really fun and a bit challenging, and I'm looking forward to it. And I've got the website up and running, which is one of those things I wanted to do for months, but I've not had the time to do it. So the website is up and running, and that's really exciting. And my mailing list is in progress, and there are a few other things like that which I can start working on now that I've got a bit more time to do strategic projects. So that's really nice. But yeah, definitely a little bit over the place. So just thought I'd share for transparency, and I don't really know what my answer is to any of that yet, but I'll be working on it over the next couple of months, I guess. Other than that, the rugby has started back up, so we watched lots of rugby. I'm very excited about that. That's been really enjoyable. I've got... the puppy's just woken up. I just hear Sam calling the puppy a silk chicken because he's so silky, and we call him chicken all the time, so he's so silky right now. Anyway, yeah, I've got a craft weekend next weekend, which I'm very excited about, and my plan is hopefully to get all this cleared so that next week's video is going to be a craft room tour, because now all the things are done that I should be able to film that video. So we will see. Hopefully, if I get this tidied up, then next week you'll see a craft room tour for me. If I don't get it tidied up, then you'll see something else from me next week. But either way, I'll be back in a week with another video. Until then, the Cara Wrap is available with a discount code until the end of the weekend, and my t-shirts are online until the end of November, and I'll be back next time with a charity pattern and maybe a test call if I get my ducks in a row. Until then, happy knitting! Bye!